So we're going to take a look now at the data that was available or was not available for Horizon, and why the actual evidence of the transactions where the claims against the subpostmaster were made, why that data didn't seem to be available, or why it wasn't requested in the first place. Let's jump straight into the inquiry.
Going please then to paragraph 5.10 of this report. Over the page, please. Under the heading of incomplete information, we have this. The Horizon system is operated by Fujitsu, and all transactions recorded by each post office is backed up and held.
It probably should be backed up and held, but we can forgive a typo.
After a period of 18 months, the transactions are deleted from the Fujitsu system. The post office did not in their investigations choose to ask for the transaction logs to be provided or retained for the period covering the investigation.
And that would appear to be a very standard thing to do. If you're accusing someone of something, any case is going to take more than 18 months to conclude, and there could be subsequent appeals. So you're going to need that information for an awful lot longer than that. So it would be fairly standard practice, knowing that if it is presumably a standard operating procedure of Horizon data to be deleted from the Fujitsu data center, the only people who have copies of it, it would be certainly wise, if you're going to bring these cases, to actually say we need to retain this information on file as part of this case. It does seem to be some kind of shocking conviction that actually, these cases won't be challenged with the post office. Don't know if that was the thought, but it certainly would seem to suggest that.
The elapse of time is now such that the logs cannot be obtained. Pausing there, you say in your statement, Ms. Winter, at paragraph 54, that you do not believe Horizon data to be provided or retained for the period covering the investigation. The elapse of time is now such that the logs cannot be obtained.
And, the bit below it, 5.1.1, it has therefore not been possible to trace the amounts per the alleged loss of 10,288.47 to transaction logs to see if any trend in relation to the employee postings at the time this occurred. That seems critical, because then what we're saying is, in terms of the evidence available, that actually not only can we not prove it's down to an individual or individuals, but there's actually no way to trace where this money's come from, apart from a table that you're providing of totals of these losses per specific headings. That would seem absolutely critical, particularly where somebody is challenging the veracity of the information that you've provided.
Pausing there, you say in your statement, Ms. Winter, at paragraph 54, that you do not believe Horizon data was available at this time to view. Why do you think, at the point of interview, Horizon data would not have been available to view?
At the time of interview, I am not sure if it was available, and as I said, I don't know, but we didn't think it was a Horizon case. And
No. I mean, this has surely got to be the first duty of the investigation team. You don't think it's a Horizon case, but based on what? The sub-postmasters clearly identifying what they perceive to be issues with Horizon. It's now the Horizon data is not available. Well, I don't think it was available, but surely that is a line of inquiry that you absolutely have to follow through to the conclusion, regardless of not whether you think it's a Horizon case. If you think it's nothing to do with Horizon, Horizon is their accounting software and bookkeeping method. So if you are alleging somebody has taken some money, that seems like the crucial piece of evidence, whether you're calling it a Horizon case or not.
Reason was that during interview, Mr. McLaughlin did state at the start, 2 years previously, he had ups and downs of the balancing.
Ms. Winter, can I stop you there just to take you back to the question?
Yes.
The question relates to why it is that you thought that data might not be available to view, as opposed to whether you thought you needed to ask for it. Is it right that you didn't ask for it?
No, I would have asked for it.
I'm sorry, you said a moment ago that you didn't think this was a Horizon case, but you're saying you would have asked for it.
I can't recall, but I do know that if we thought that Horizon information would assist the case, we would have asked for it.
So this is a generalisation though. When you're being asked about a very specific case, well, I think I would have asked for it. if, it would have been available and if it would have helped. It sounds like there's at least some confusion about whether it was asked for in this case. But in any case, that, it's clear that it wasn't available to the forensic accountants at the end of 2004, which would suggest that it either didn't exist, which would be shocking because it should have been there for at least 18 months, and that would have covered the time period, certainly when the allegations were first made. But also, it does sound like somewhat backtracking now to kind of cover, well, we would have asked for it, and actually it's not relevant that it's a Horizon case, even though a minute ago I said it was relevant that it was, whether it was classified as a Horizon case.
There is the possibility with this system, with this case, that the Horizon information may not have been requested.
That's a shocking admission, because regardless of what you call in the case, you are alleging some money has been taken, and you are using and stating Horizon as a source of information, so you've got to request it. How can any of these cases, whatever you're classifying them as, not have that data requested? That seems totally unfathomable.
Okay, looking at the conclusion in this report, the Post Office did not in their investigations choose to ask for the transaction logs to be provided or retained for the period covering the investigation. And if we can just have on screen, please, your paragraph 54. I don't know if it's possible to have that alongside this document. It's page 26. Towards the bottom of page 26, paragraph 54 starts. It's page 26. Towards the bottom of the page, please. That's the start of 54. Going over to the top, please, of the next page. And you say there, during interview on the 26th of July 2001, he did raise concerns regarding losses and staff dishonesty, but not Horizon. I do not believe Horizon data was available at this time to view. And let's leave as a separate point whether he was raising Horizon as an explanation.
So that, is surely a clear contradiction. I do not believe the Horizon data was available to view at the time. Contrast with that with a testimony now that I'm not sure whether we even requested it. Contrasting that with the auditor's report saying the Post Office have chose not to ask for it, as in choosing not to ask for it would imply that actually the data is available. They've just decided because it's not a Horizon case, we're not going to ask for it. So we've got three very different kind of views here from two different sources.
Why was it that you do not believe that Horizon data was available at the time to view?
I wouldn't have had that information. I'm sorry, I can't recall.
Well, then that is a subtle but significant difference, I would suggest, to a statement. I do not believe it to be. That means you've got some reason to believe it not to be available versus I don't recall whether it's available. They are two different things, really.
I'm just trying to understand why you have said here, I do not believe Horizon data was available at this time to view. Why have you included that in your statement?
Because I would believe from myself and from the way that I worked, if there was any information available, I would have asked for that information. I do not believe if the information wasn't available. If it wasn't available, it wasn't available.
That is true, but if you don't ask for it, you don't know whether it's available, and according to the standard operating procedure, it would seem to have been available for 18 months, and it would also seem that it's perfectly reasonable that there's a mechanism to request data to be retained if you are launching a private prosecution against somebody in your role at an organisation alleging that they have stolen money, keeping the accounts. I mean, if you look at other cases involving financial fraud, theft, false accounting, they are all going to include the accounts. They are going to retain the accounts. That just seems absolutely baffling that in these cases that wouldn't be an absolute standard practice.
Or I was told it wasn't available.
On the one hand, you seem to be saying Mr. McLaughlin was not raising Horizon, so I didn't need to ask. And on the other, you seem to be saying, well, I would have asked, so it must not have been there to view. Which is it?
Well, he didn't raise concerns. I can't recall, I'm sorry.
He did raise concerns, though. We can see it in black and white. I mean, the letter from his solicitors earlier on in 2004, prior to this report, he literally is littered with saying he thinks Horizon's prone to bugs. Please, can you actually disclose evidence that of bug reports you've had, of the financial audit trail towards my post office? And he's asked for that evidence, which has been gathered, presumably, to bring the case. It almost seems a bit like, if we don't request this data and we don't have it, we can't disclose it. That could be one potential theory, one potential answer.
Okay. In any event, it appears based on this report, and the statement can come down now, thank you, at 5.10, that by the time the forensic accountants instructed on behalf of Mr. McLaughlin were doing this report, the data was no longer there to be had because of the retention period of Fujitsu.
Which is another issue, because after you are bringing so many cases, so maybe not at this point, but in future cases, it would suggest that lessons learned from some of these cases, you would actually say, that data could actually become really critical. We need to increase this retention period, or we always need to request it from Fujitsu as part of a standard operating procedure for these cases, particularly as the number of cases was piling and piling and piling up throughout the 2020 10s, yet that never appears to have happened. Why?